I'll tell you, the people that run that, they're probably around the age of 80. They've been doing it for a long time. They're really hanging on for dear life. They pay me a minimal under market rent on that place. It's really a facility that's just hanging on, and you're right, the equipment, which they own, I believe, but it goes back decades. It's obvious. And I think they're just kind of just doing it because it's something to do, frankly.
I am interested in the laundry. You don't run the laundromat, do you?
I lease it out.
Yeah, you have a tenant there. Okay. Yeah, perfect. You're the right guy. So that's what I do, Steve. I've been in the laundry business for, God, 20 plus years. As I say it, I'm realizing it's been a while. But the way that I build my store is my partner and I, we go out and we physically scout these locations. We walk in, they're open to the public. We sometimes do some laundry, depending. And if we see underperforming stores, to put it politely, we want to reach out to the landlord, the powers that be, i.e. Steve, and find out if and when there might be a lease available. I'm not here to try to toss out operators, but if they're not running the store efficiently and they don't retool the store every 7 years like I do, they're probably going to end up in arrears or...
Tell me, what goes on in this great house?
Mostly dying.
And again, I'm not asking. That's your business. But I see 35-year-old Milner washers and poor procedures, and they close early. Again, call this an introduction. I'm looking to lease space because the infrastructure is there. And when they remain a laundromat, I'm going to try to beat you up on the rent, spend about $500,000 on washers and dryers. And thanks for laughing at that.
Right.
And you know what? It's funny. This place is even swamp cooled. It doesn't have an air conditioning unit on the roof. You probably don't even. Yeah. Well, it's crazy. That's the way they
the old swamp coolers.
Yeah. They treat these consumers like they're it's a third world country, and it's not. The old AC units couldn't keep up, but now they can. Different story.
Yeah. That is an aged. You're right. The equipment is aged in there. You hit the nail on the head. You must have walked it thoroughly and really got a bird's eye of what's going on down there.
Well, I've been doing this a while. I've got a few locations. I own some strip malls myself, and everything comes to me very quickly. It's like stale bread. They haven't, some of the inside baseball stuff, I'll tell you, since you asked, they haven't cleaned out their wet lint trap in probably a decade. It reeks in that store, and that's something that's easily fixed when you have your sump pump truck come by, and there's a manhole cover out behind the store, and you clean it out we do ours every 3 months instead of every 30 years. How'd
you track me down? You must, like you said, you get out and you hit the pavement, huh? You really look and you.
Oh yeah, I mean,
see what's going on out there.
It starts with a physical scout of the laundromat, right? And that's hard sometimes, to be honest, since you asked, because the really good stores, meaning the bad stores, they don't even exist on Google. They don't have any form of advertisement. And we have to sort of know, I mean, my repair guys know where some of the older stores are. And I've been looking at this store for years. And then it's straight to the landlord, basically. Actually, there's a check cashing store on premises. That's who gave us your number. I don't think you're hiding from anybody.
Oh yeah. The instant cash folks. Yep.
So you can go yell at them. They gave you up.
No, I'm not gonna yell at anybody. No. I'll tell you that the people that run that, they're Korean. I don't know if you maybe caught a glance of that, or maybe you knew that from your travels there, but they're probably around the age of 80. They've been doing it for a long time. They're really hanging on for dear life. They pay me a minimal under market rent on that place. It's really a facility that's just hanging on, and you're right, the equipment, which they own, I believe, but it goes back decades. It's obvious.
Right.
But the place needs to be refreshed. There's no question about it. It's 5,600 square feet between the dry cleaning and the laundry. facilities. Other than that, I'd be more than happy to talk seriously about a new business owner in there. That is a great idea.
What can I say, little father? It's a miracle. I can see. I can walk. Rejoice!
I don't feel these folks they're, like I said, you never see any cars there, hardly at all. And I think they're just kind of just doing it because it's something to do, frankly.
Well, for me, I've built a bit of an empire doing this way, and I'm always really disheartened and saddened in many ways. Number one is the customers. They're not being treated appropriately. And people still come into this store. They figure, well, that's a laundromat. That's the way it is. In the summertime, when it's 80 degrees outside, it's 120 in here. And they just come in and do laundry. And, swamp coolers don't help. Again, I'm gonna ask you to put AC on the roof. And like, oh, God, well, what's the alternative? There's no other business on planet Earth that isn't going to have air conditioning. You're not going to go get your teeth drilled and, gee whiz, it's hot in here. Oh, don't worry about it. It's a swamp cooler. But, at the end of the day, I'm not here to ask about your tenant or what's going on with them. That's also sad. The fact that they are, if you will, out here trying to make a living, but I don't know. A lot of these operators are not actually operating. They have other businesses or other interests, and even landlords are running these places, and they themselves are, you'd be surprised, really running it into the ground and just don't care because it's a few $100 in cash every month, which is weird. That's the odd thing. It's the cash. It's the cash. So
it is.
If the timing is good, and you said something that's very telling, that they have very under market rent, and frankly, that's what we are looking for, because it's still a laundromat. And the big difference with us is the investment that we put in. The washers and dryers, and again, it's a good $500,000 for a store this size.
I totally respect that. The roof is really brand new. Just an answer to maybe that question. The roof is brand new, so that I did get up there a couple years back. So that's a positive step. But beyond that, knowing what if I was to approach them and say I'd like to move on from this and go in a different direction, what do you think it'd be worth for you and I to talk on a rental basis? What are you forecasting?
Well, I'm ready to do it, but I need to know I'm looking for something that is reasonable and commensurate for a laundry. So that would be up to you. You have to tell me what's the best you can. Look, I don't know if you own the building. I don't know if you have a hefty mortgage. I can't possibly know any of that. That's your business, and it sounds like you're the guy to talk to. So at the end of the day, I just need to know what's honestly. I'm not a big back and forth guy, but that's a game. I don't want to play any games. I just want to know what's the best you can do. And then even if you vanilla this space and get rid of them, you're looking at $80,000 plus. And we're not looking for you to turn this into a gray shell. We want the infrastructure that's there.
I see. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's out of the question to ask for, and again, I understand the investment on the behalf of your business, but to answer your question, I do have some debt that I have to deal with.
Well, to be clear, I wasn't asking. I'm just saying that there are landlords, and there are some high roller landlords who just, I don't give a shit if I get rent here at all. My grandparents left it to me. Well, good for you. I know that I have commercial space. I know you would love to increase the rent every year, but it's not going to happen with a laundry. And even, look, I've got to pull new consumers in kicking and screaming here. And this is also a very big store. A lot of the space is not being utilized. Normally, we want about 4 feet between washers and dryers for consumers to get around, and they've got about 34 feet. It's, a lot of unused space. Maybe it's something to think about. I mean, if you can't spit out a square footage, and I'm not asking you what they're paying, but sometimes we want to reset a lease because they're topped out and we're starting anew.
Right.
Look,
right,
I can,
right.
if you
I don't know
don't have, I'm not to press anybody. If you don't have a number in mind, I can send you an email and then we can get back together on it.
I do have a number in mind. I'm formulating it from the basis of a gross lease basis where, I cover property taxes and all operating expenses, rubbish. You know the game, right? Because you're a property guy.
Of course. Yeah. Triple nets.
And insurance costs. Yeah. All the nets are my bailiwick. I got to handle all that, which I do. And, but in saying all that, I don't know if $10 a foot is out of the question or not. 5,600 square feet times $10 a square foot.
He's doing the
divided
math,
by 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I can
listen. I can say yes to 75 cents starting rate, and
75 cents for what? For
you're
square
saying
foot?
you're saying you said $10. You're talking in years, and I'm talking in months. So same.
Yeah, this is annual. This is annual.
Yeah. We're very very close. It's closer to $9.
Is what you're thinking?
Well, it's not what I'm thinking. It's what I know, because my debt service is going to be, 10 grand a month.
Oh, okay. Based on your equipment install and everything else that you have going, right?
Correct.
So you're at 9, and that I'm equating that to a monthly payment of that equates to 4,200 gross payment per month.
Right.
A gross payment.
Right.
Okay, I see. I gotcha. Okay, and really, you're thinking as well that you'd lock that. That'd be a locked number for X amount of years. Is that kind of how you would project it too? I mean, as far as
now, here I am being your advocate. I do 2.5% increases after year 2.
Okay. I see. Okay. Well, it's really a good starting point. I'll tell you. Do I get that now? Not quite. But in saying all that, my taxes keep going up. You're a landlord, you know that. Yeah. My operating expenses fluctuate, but they never seem to go down because of inflation and other means. But I think if I can get them removed from there and you and I talk further, I don't see why we can't start that at $9 like you're proposing.
Well,
I don't see why not.
Let's move on to the next thing.
Okay.
And again, not looking to clobber you over the head here. We know about this. We know about the air conditioning. We already mentioned it. We touched on it. I hope. And I hope and pray that you've got some money squirreled away, because, it's almost nice when we have a decent storm, because if one of my roofs caves in and I don't kill anybody, I've got a little bit of insurance money.
Now, Savitsky, please don't disappoint me, because if you do, I'm afraid I'll have to break your neck. A threat to the wise. All right.
So at the end of the day, I need proper tonnage of air conditioning to be prepared for that. So I'm gonna write you an LOI, and that letter of intent is going to include the proper tonnage of AC. Obviously, it doesn't matter who you're putting in here. You're going to need to do that, so that's no skin off your nose. I'm also going to look for some abatement. Now, tell me, I'm looking for 15 years. I like to retool every 7. So in 7 years, I'm putting new equipment in. Here's my question. On a 15-year term, how much abatement can you offer?
Oh, boy. Wow.
I don't want to I usually ask for 12 months. I don't want to put that in there and squeeze you where you're ignoring me. I want to be able to go back and forth.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. I guess that's a good question. Not to speak out of line, I've structured leases with other professional office spaces, non-retail, that I've abated a month a year over a long term, right? 1 month out of each year.
And that's why we ask for 12, because it's 15. That'd be 15 months, but I don't expect that up front. And by the way, Steve, I can't get this equipment in here in 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
they make, you go to Home Depot and you buy a washer and they say, yeah, here it is. You want to come get it, or you want us to put it in your truck? This stuff has to be built. It gets built from scratch. Forget about the current environment.
I see.
This has been the way it's been with industrial equipment forever.
I see. So you would need, even upon assigning the lease, you need some time up front as well abated to get your traction, get everything, fixed in place. Okay.
Real advertising. Okay. These current, again, not to pick on your current tenant and or operator, they've never done it. Real, Google listings, coat drives in the winter for the kids, barbecues in the summer. This is part of the community, and they just don't act as if it is. So you understand. And I'm going to email you. I'm going to send you all this information. And look, I can put it all in writing, everything that we need to be successful. I'll CC my partner, and we'll fire this thing off to you.
All right. You have my email?
I do not. What is it? Got it. Perfect. I got it the first time. I'll CC my partner in a quick email. And you know what? It'd probably give me a day to put the LOI together, and we'll fire it off. And then, I assume by your tone that there isn't any issue. I want to be crystal clear. I'm not looking to buy the business. I'm not looking to buy out your existing operator in any way, shape, or form. I've had these exact conversations, Steve, where they get pretty far down the line, and then all of a sudden, well, I thought you were going to buy them out. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's your road to hoe. Yeah. And like you say,
that's right.
They're done. It's pretty obvious. Good. Well, this could be a lovely relationship, or maybe we'll hate each other. But either way, we're going to try to do some business.
I know.
I like your style. And this is not an April Fool's joke. I'll tell you that right now.
I was kind of wondering that in the beginning. I was saying to myself, who could this be? That sounds familiar to me on the phone here. But no, you sound like a real upfront guy. You're a businessman, and I'm glad you called me, because I'm always looking for something better on the horizon there, and that might be something.
Good. So all right, let me fire you off an email. Absolutely. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
I'm pretty sure this hot water heater's got a few more good years left in it.